Thank you. Next, I would like to invite Oi Ming Lung, the Vice President of Huawei Cloud. Oh, he's not here. Okay. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Kuan Hung, the Machine Learning Engineer of Coqnitics. Put your hands together for him. Next, ladies and gentlemen, Vincent Cheong, the CEO of Buddicart eCommerce. Thank you. Next, Dato Simon S.C. Lim, the Managing Partner of Messrs. Gan and Zul. And last but not least, Stephen Chia, the Director of Cornerstone Tech. All right, let's have some fun and let's see what kind of discussion that they're going to do. And I hope you guys will enjoy it. Let's do this.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Simon Lim. I'm supposed to have 5 guys here because it's supposed to be 5G. Now I left with 4G, so I don't know how fast I can go with this one. As we know, we have 2 very disruptive technology, which is the 5Gs and blockchain. Now, we know they're going to shape our future, but individually, I think they're good enough. But if we fuse the 2 together, what sort of reactions we're going to have? Now, and then what are we going to expect from this fusing of these 2 technology? I hope the panel will explore the advantage of 5Gs and blockchain, and what are the possible problems or challenges that they will face when they fuse these 2 technologies together. And I think, let me put the first question. We know resources are very scarce, especially costs. So which one do we start first? It's the chicken and egg questions. Do we start with 5G first or blockchain first? So, and especially Malaysia now is very poor, and we just raised funds from Tabung Harapan, so new government. That's all the resources that we have. So can you guys enlighten us how we should go about this? Anyone try?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Actually, I used to step into both of these worlds. I had the opportunity to be founder of a 4G wireless broadband company. And recently, also, I spent 2 years, I just stepped off the NEM Blockchain Foundation. So I kind of like had 2 feet in both these worlds. I think chicken and egg is that it's no more chicken and egg. The egg has already been hatched because blockchain is here to stay. Now I would say that the blockchain, regardless of whether 5G will happen, blockchain will carry on, right? But what makes it very interesting is that this chicken is going to grow up to be quite strong and robust with the help of 5G. So blockchain, as you know, the more nodes you have, the more faster network you have, the more efficient it is. So with 5G technology, I guess it will be a better chicken.
Hi everyone, I'm Chris Pa. I have a little bit different background and experience. I run my software house, so I'm basically more like a technical businessman. So if you ask me which one would be the first one I look at, first of all, 5G is not in Malaysia yet. Maybe in Penang State, probably the first one. I don't know. But blockchain technology has been in the market for quite some time. And even to me, there are many businessmen came to me to talk about how can we use blockchain and stuff like that. We do have a lot of challenges to do that. And I always explain that if you only want to look at security, you can do that without blockchain. But what do you intend to achieve is really about integrity, right? It's really about removing the oversight of the central governance. So I personally think that blockchain will be the first one to kick off because there are a lot of opportunities in the market where we can solve, especially in the integrity issues. What about first one to solve is donation issues? So, or first one to solve is the election issues. So I would go for blockchain.
Good morning. Sorry. My name is Kuan Hong. So I'm from Coqnitics. Basically, we are actually an AI-first company. So we develop AI solution. From my opinion, I think if you were to choose your investment into 5G or in blockchain, I think the country definitely need a better connectivity at the moment. So I would, in terms of the development of inference engine for AI or anything related to machine learning or artificial intelligence, a better connectivity is definitely a differentiation for us. So for me, I think I will definitely look into improving the connectivity and then putting the investment into 5G.
Hello, my name is Vincent Cheong. I'm from the Buddicart. We are more on the project solutions for business, whereby in terms of you talk about blockchains and 5Gs, and which most of them we experience is the purpose of the business. On the business role, what do you need first on the blockchains? But most of the business, they always look on security, on the encryptions, and on the fraud, and also the password. So you must see on the business perspective. Most of them people will see at the blockchain first, because they need on the security-wise, they need on the encryption and to do on their business platform or with their business mechanism before they enhance to the 5G. So therefore, you can see that blockchain will come first before you can see the 5G to implement. Of course, you need to see the infrastructure of the area, where is it applicable for you to implement the 5G. As now you know that we are having the 4.0. So implement the blockchain first, then are you ready to implement the 5G with the IoT? Thank you.
Okay, you see, that's a very interesting thing to do. If you ask chicken and egg, they would choose one. I look at it that, basically, I think you can actually work together. That's all the fusion. You can fuse the two things together where you have one first. So I think we know that blockchains are there. So if you choose either one of them, I mean, what sort of issue or challenges that you to fuse these two, the possible challenges? Anyone want to tell us?
I guess one of the greatest challenges is actually because 5G is predominantly mobile. So in a sense, that means the blockchain world need to catch up a little bit, where in the future, if these two technologies do exist, you will probably need more blockchain nodes to be mobile powered. So although the phones of today has enough computing power, but the problem is that in most of the blockchain nodes today run off essentially a desktop or server-based Linux or whatever operating system. So first thing that need to happen probably is to have more software, more blockchain node software to be mobile capable. So in order to capitalize on the 5G itself, speed is probably not an issue. That's where the greatest challenge will be, because for the blockchain people to catch up.
Stephen, just add on question. And we know that DLT normally is because it's like for Bitcoins and Ethereum, it takes a long time to actually process it. With 5G bandwidth and the speed, latency is low. And how that's a challenge that we're going to face. How do you think that can be resolved?
Well, right now, as you see the evolution of blockchain networks today, you hear of things like Lightning networks, you hear of things like Layer 2. So this is actually the blockchain people's way of solving the speed issue. That means transactions are being calculated and authorized and authenticated on the blockchain networks. These Lightning networks are bringing it to almost the same speed that the 5G is capable of supporting.
Chris, Stephen mentioned something about software for the blockchains and things. Do you think there's a business opportunity here when you fuse this together?
problem related to infusing this 5G technology and blockchain, of course, because I come from an academician background. I worked in the UCT for 15 years. It's also, when the country needs to progress, we need to build the talent in the country. So most of the time, the UCTs in Malaysia are actually playing catching up games because we try to always try to match the talents, the demand of the talent by producing the courses in the UCT to match. But sometimes there's a lot of regulation involved for all these approval to get all these courses to be approved. So sometimes by the time the course is approved, it might actually, does not catch the time where the demand is high on that moment. For example, now the country is moving towards a national AI framework. But 2-3 years back, the country is talking about a lot of data science, data analytics. So a lot of UCT already just started to offer data science, data analytics specialization courses. Now the country is talking about AI. So it might take some time for the UCT to actually able to produce the right talent. Same for blockchain now and also 5G. It's something that is a huge demand in the market now, but maybe the technical skill set person, it might not be available at the moment.
You want to share? Or ask the next question?
What I can share with you is this, what the opinion from other three speakers is, in terms of the business perspective, I will talk on the business perspective. Because people talk about blockchain, they think of the technical part. They always ask question, how technical part is that? So I have a lot of clients asking me, in terms of business perspective, how I'm going to implement the blockchains and related to the 5G. So in blockchains is how you do, in a business, you do not need 100% to use blockchains. I can give you two scenarios. One scenario is a supply chains company. You don't need 100% blockchain to run the whole supply chain. You only need about 15 to 20% blockchain to implement into a supply chain logistic company. That is to infuse whereby the 5G and the IoT implement to manage the whole operation of the supply chain. That's one of the picture there. Blockchain plays only 15 to 20% of the supply chains. Another scenario is the e-commerce business. E-commerce business, you deal with warehousing, last mile fulfillment, that kind of thing, and customers. So the kind of blockchain they implement into the e-commerce business role is only about 25%. So you do not necessarily need about 100% blockchain implementation. And the other part of the role will be IoT and 5G. That's how you can see the blockchain linked to the 5G through IoT. With this kind of system integration, you can save a lot of costs. And your speed of production, your speed of sales will shoot up tremendously. This is how the blockchain helps with the 5G through IoT, helps the company operations. That's my opinion.
Thanks. I've seen that Malaysian situations in universities where I think before we even talk of fusion about the two technologies, I think we should talk about fusion between the public universities and the private institutions on working this together. We can see that how slow the public institution, the universities actually deal with these matters. And how do we get these young graduates to actually come out and actually serve the industries? I think there should be more collaboration and cooperation between the private institutions or the private sectors with the public institutions so that there is a right flow of talents out from the universities. Actually, it's quite sad today where we can't have a Huawei guy here because it's the 5G. But since it's not here, I think I can raise a very sensitive issues about the 5Gs, where now we can see that states are trying to, there's a blockage of the 5G, Huawei selling their 5G appliances due to security reason or whatever it is. How do you guys see this trade, so-called inverted commerce trade wars? I think it's a bit sensitive to say that, but what do you think that that's going on would actually hold back the development of 5Gs and the fusion of these two technologies? And what do you think that the relevant bodies.
Is an alternative trading system, meaning that would allow big marts to be a full-fledged exchange, listing security tokens, and even selling the USA market. Yep. So we also see that a lot of exchanges nowadays, right, because of the regulation risk, okay, they have to block the USA market. Yep. For example, even Binance, they have announced that in September, they will stop taking US retail investors, okay, to trade on their crypto exchange. So this might be something good for Bitmarts, okay, because we were the stupid team, you know, to go to US and comply with all the legality issues and all this. Yeah. Remember, we are not a very big team, okay? Given our CMC ranking, we only have like 80 plus staff, okay? All our C team is in US, and I'm in charge of the Hong Kong office. We have a tech team in Hangzhou, but despite the small team size of 80 over staff, we have 4 lawyers in the team, you know, to comply with all the, you know, the SEC regulations and all this. Yeah. So, will STO be the next big thing? Okay, we had a lot of internal discussions. We think that STO would sooner or later come. Okay, but it takes time. Okay, because I even have personal friends in PwC and EY. For example, my friend in EY is a senior rank staff in leading the fintech team. Yep. And when I spoke to him, initially, I think it was in late 2017, I asked him, like my friend leading the fintech, I said, I'm helping a lot of ICO projects do advisory. He actually asked me, so what's an ICO? So that shows you at that time, they don't have enough knowledge in this field. But just a few weeks ago, I spoke to him, and he told me that EY is already building a lot of blockchain platform, okay? And they certainly believe in all that STO would sooner or later come, because obviously STO would improve certain things, right? Like if you raise an STO, it's much cheaper than raising an IPO, for example. And then ST, that means a security token, or in other words, you can see them as digital securities, right? With that, you could have a global market, right? Even IPO, if you buy shares in Hong Kong exchange, for example, it's hard for you to liquidate, for example, in other markets, for example, right? But with a ST, you're supposed to be able to trade cross-borderly, yeah. And also you are able to buy in small amounts, even like $50, $100, and you could liquidate anytime, at least on a theory surface, yeah. So these are the things, yeah, that makes us believe that STO would sooner or later come, yeah. So right now, we also like to, of course, a lot of blockchain projects, they might not be STO projects, because from what we see, STO projects are more traditional. The blockchain accents is still only constitute a small part. So how should blockchain projects raise money right now? From what we see, blockchain projects typically have to raise from equity fundraising first, okay? Then with that money, you try to build at least your MVP, like minimum viable product and all this. Yeah, you have to try to come up with products, and not like last time where most ICO is just a concept, You know, with the concept, you go on to raise money. So with that money, you have to build product, you build community, okay, and try to get on an exchange and try to maintain a good pricing. And then at the same time, you proceed on with raising money from the secondary market. Yeah. So we will advise most projects to work with good market makers, you know, and all this. And back to the STO scene, of course, just a few weeks ago, I know that in Malaysia, we are trying to encourage all this financial innovation. Yep. So a few weeks ago, I went to visit I believe it's IBFC. Yep. That because Labuan, the Malaysia offshore, what do you call that, the financial center, is actually very encouraging on people trying to set up digital exchange and all this. So I had a very good conversation with Farah, the CEO of IBFC. Yeah. And I think this could be really beneficial to Malaysia. Yeah. Because from what we see, a lot of Asian countries are actually quite behind, okay? Even Thailand, I know they want to introduce a certain ST jurisdiction, but I believe, I'm not too sure, someone correct me if I'm wrong, it's not fully out yet. And when I was in Taiwan, they don't have a regulation for ST exchange, but they have trying to come up with a set of regulation for ST projects. But I remember it's not that conducive because for ST projects, I believe that you could raise up to like 1 million plus USD, and that's it. I believe that that's too small an amount for most ST projects. Yeah. So besides a lot of strategy that BIMA is going to implement, on the side way, I do help some STO as well. So we could see the trend. Okay, for example, I'm working on a casino projects in Laos. Okay, it's backed by the ex Sands Casino executives, like the ex-presidents of Sands Casino. His name is Bill Wellner. So he was also we helped them to plan for the STO. So people go for STO for different reasons. So we asked him, like, why you want to do a casino STO? And they told us that because usually they could get big investment banks in USA to help them with all this fundraising. But when all these projects heard about, you know, some Southeast Asia countries like Laos, Myanmar, Cambodia, those are big investment banks in USA. They are worried of all those implications. Yeah. So they want to do an STO that would be much cleaner, much faster, and they would be able to sell to a global community. Of course, they still refuse to sell to any USA investors because we all know that SEC has a global reach. If something went wrong. Yep. So this is my sharing on what's the current scene of ICO, STO, and IEO. I hope that could help everyone looking to have a more complete outlook on all these things here. So, but then STO, I think we may need 1 or 2 more years because when we try to raise funds for STO, we actually see the different views from the different communities here. Because when we went to the blockchain VCs, they would tell us that, hey, we are so used to, 3x, 5x, even 10x within 3 to 6 months. But a typical STO, because a typical STO is more like a traditional project looking for a much better way to fundraising or reaching the global investor community. So their typical return is like 20 to 30%,
I certainly think that if mobile can be a node, which that requires some R&D, I suppose. Because today, you need a lot of minor machines to actually do a lot of processing. And that is one of the core challenges that I have. Today, if I want to propose a solution with blockchain to my client, that is a cost, right? And to business, when the cost scale together with the opportunity, that's actually a risk. So I'm actually still exploring, looking into what you call in the future, how can we achieve that? I mean, people are doing R&D today. I heard there are more and more blockchain technology coming out with different better versions. I'm sure one day we can achieve that. But even in my opinion, challenges is not only recited on the technology side. If you look at business today in Malaysia, let's focus on business, right? I mean Malaysia. How many businesses are ready for blockchain? Like I said earlier, right? A lot of people just came to us and say, I want blockchain. That's what people told me. Very good technology. That's the trend. That's a hype, actually. But how many of us are ready for blockchain? How many actually understood what exactly blockchain is doing? I've been to, I think some of us been to hackathon about blockchain. Students are hacking it using blockchain, and some actually just understood in a way that I just want to encrypt data. But is encrypting data the actual use of blockchain? No. We are talking about integrity of identity, right? And together with the transaction so that it's actually just automated through the governance itself. So that's one thing about the maturity, the knowledge part. Second thing about the maturity is how matured is Malaysian business to embark on blockchain. Where are you today? How many systems do you have? How integrated is your systems? Before you even look into a monster that behaves so differently in a conventional software. So that's actually my challenges as well. And the third thing I probably want to ask through this question to the other experts is the cost. I can't really calculate an actual cost for my client to invest into a software that runs on blockchain. And there's so much to think about. And whether the productivity is increased, I can't guarantee that as well. And how much they need to throw onto processing power or memory, that's another big topic that we need to look at. And throughout the question, just now throughout the discussion pre-event, we do discuss about this. Maybe Stephen, you have some information on this part where I think is quite enlightening.
Actually, we were discussing earlier before the session is the cost of employing a blockchain network. A lot of people say it's cheaper, but you have to look at it on a holistic basis. The cheaper comes from the fact that in blockchain, the inherent design of a blockchain network, you don't need a robust security system. You don't need a robust antivirus, firewall and all that. That is actually part of your savings. Because by the nature of its design, a blockchain network is tamper-proof, hack-proof, right? So that's where the savings come from, not necessarily from the nodes being cheaper or even the open source nature of the blockchain. So that's where the cost savings perhaps might come from.
Any accountants here? I don't think so. I just think this is dollar and cents. Basically, I mean, Chris have said the challenges is basically, I think one part of it is education and what is the blockchain. I think most of us here know what's blockchain all about and 5G all about, but I think the general publics, most of them equates blockchain with cryptocurrencies or bitcoins and things like that. That's one of the challenges I'll foresee that before you even go to that. But beside that, I mean, that is basically, you're talking about social challenges and things like that. What about technical challenges, Doctor? You build machines, right?
Okay, yeah, so one of
So government should actually deal with this so that we can move forward on this.
I would flip the question a little bit is, can blockchain solve some of the inherent issues of 5G going forward? As you know, with 5G, you have things like SIM-free, where you would not have a physical SIM chip anymore, where your device actually may become just a dumb terminal. So in order for a phone to be more secure, definitely now you would need blockchain, because blockchain itself allows you to have the high secure environment, right? So in a sense, a lot of the issues with the trade war and so forth is because it's issues circulating on data privacy, issues of maybe hacking and embedded spyware and things like that. So I think with blockchain, if the 5G industry looks at blockchain as a core technology, so that would solve a lot of the issues. I mean, even if, let's say, as you know, Huawei came out with the new Harmony operating system. Now, how do you know that there's no embedded stuff in there, right? But if blockchain was a big part of this new operating system, people would know and it will be transparent. So I think that's how this kind of like the global, you know, proprietary technology trade war can be mitigated.
Okay, look like that's my last question. I will open, I think, 3 questions for the floor. But is there any questions from the floor? Calling one. Yes, you have a gentleman right there on my right-hand side. You can take the mic at the center of the floor.
Hi. It was said that once you implement a network based on blockchains, you would have savings in terms of security and antivirus. My question is, do you really think that once you implement the network, there won't be any other things which would need security and that you would be able to get away with the cost of antivirus and networking securities?
Stephen, I think that's yours.
Well, let's put it this way. A lot of the hacking you have heard about on blockchain, happens at exchanges or wallets. But the core blockchain network itself has not been hacked. In fact, even the Bitcoin has been running for so long, the core transactions has not been compromised, right? Where you need still some level of security is on the periphery, right? That means people who are doing, it's just like if the bank gave you an ATM card and said, go figure out your PIN number, and you wrote the PIN number at the back of your ATM card and you left your card on the table, of course it gets compromised or hacked or taken away. So in a sense, you still need basic securities on the periphery of the nodes. For example, if you're creating a blockchain node on a cloud service, if you leave your password and somebody have access to their password, they will have access to your nodes. It's just like if you leave your ATM card with a PIN number written on the back, your account is going to get hacked. But the fundamental core technology of blockchain does not require you to have massive amount of protection because of the nature of the design. It just cannot be hacked or tampered with, or the information that you hash onto the blockchain cannot be tampered with. So I think that's where the significant savings come from. The other thing is a blockchain network allows you to, or rather not allow, prevents you from having this single point of failure in a centralized system. Imagine if you put your database in a centralized facility and that gets hacked. Classic example is, you know, our SWIFT banking codes. if you look at the SWIFT network, it's been around for like 30 over years. It's still two locations where SWIFT hosts their their servers, right? Now, if I want to DDoS attack those two servers, tomorrow you and I cannot do banking transactions anymore between banks, right? Now, imagine if that SWIFT network is on a decentralized blockchain network. Nobody can penetrate it, right? So that's where the savings would come from. And I bet you SWIFT spends a tremendous amount of money trying to protect those two servers, right?
If I may input a little bit on the other side. I guess it's not so much of the cost, but so much, it's more to the risk that you're taking, also the value that you're getting back. So if you're implementing the blockchain just for the sake of encryption, I get this doesn't justify why you need to use blockchain. But I have heard there are many startups actually try to exploit using the blockchain to do something better. For example, it's always related to KYC. A travel agency may implement blockchain, try to deliver try to deliver KYC through identity plus a transaction for the entire travel agencies. So that's one of the startup actually doing that, whereby it justifies the risk of compromising on KYC information. And think about it another way, another innovative solutions where we just discussed just now. Today we have a lot of public telephony services. We never use that anymore, right? Anybody still using it? Nobody. And that because it doesn't consist of our contact information. We don't remember numbers anymore, where some of you do. But what if you think about if blockchains has integrated the information that you have, your identity, as well as your contact information, and today you can go to any public telephony service, you can retrieve your identity, you can retrieve all your information, and download is just in sub-seconds because of 5G. That achieve a big value for the entire community. And that, I think, it justifies why you would, what the cost of blockchain, etc. And of course, the cost of blockchain also depends on what's the approach that you use behind the blockchain, whether you are using your private DLT or using a public DLT. So that, there are quite a lot of people actually using Atrium as their backbone blockchain, where it saves quite a lot of costs from there as well.
Any more questions? In fact, I have now 10 more minutes to go. Okay, we have here no question. We have heard the panelists. We know that 5G is talking about speed, but then it's hackable. Blockchains comes in to help because it's immutable and not hackable. And I mean, for yesterday's panels, you hear these big words: distributed ledgers, decentralized, and all because of the word trust. Because nowadays, it seems like we don't trust each other anymore with this DLT that actually built-in trust. And since it's a fusion of 5Gs and technologies, a marriage of it, and it's not hackable, so what the heck, why not just trust it and just move on forwards and get it done with? So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I will end these sessions. Yeah, thank you.